Welcome to Power Players. Grant Cardone here, and every Tuesday we try to bring somebody to you. I do my best to bring somebody to you that's in power. I'm with a cat right now, okay? You guys don't know this man. You need to know this man, all right? Because I'm going to get some education from him today, and I want to share that with you. I want to get as close to. They had me move away from you. First thing I said was what?
We want to get closer.
I want to get closer to power, dude. I want to get closer to power.
What did I say? I said, come sit in my lap.
Come sit in my lap,
and
okay?
I'll teach you, young man.
Yeah, and if, look, you got to keep learning, and you got to get yourself associated with people that are in power. I have with me today Hubert Humphrey, okay? Check this out. Hedgeman Group International Chairman and CEO. This guy's got like serious levels of success. If you've ever heard of a company called, or a gentleman called A.L. Williams, Hubert developed a systematic approach to building distribution through relationship marketing, playing a major role in recruiting over 1.5 million associates. If you've ever heard of a company called World Marketing Alliance, or WFG, can I use that word?
You just did.
I did, okay. You know, this guy, if you're in the WMA was what? What was WMA?
WMA was World Marketing Alliance. And then when we sold the company, after 10 years.
For how much?
Well,
300?
About 300 million.
Okay. 300. Large.
Well, we're just trying to copy.
And this guy, look, listen to his accent. He lives in Atlanta. Where'd you grow up?
Macon, Georgia.
Yeah. So tell me about when you were growing up. Who was little Hubert?
Well, I was a little dreamer from the time I was just a little kid, and just a little just a good average sized family. My father was always trying to make more, become more successful. So we didn't really have a lot, but we had a good family. Had a brother and two sisters, and went to high school. I met my lovely bride when I was in the third grade. We moved out to South Macon, and it put me in that little third grade class, put me right in the desk behind her in the third grade. So she's put up with me for a long time.
You were 9 years old.
Well, that's right. Met her those years ago. But anyway, now we got 4 kids. We got 14 grandkids. We got our 8th great grandchild was born last night.
Wow.
So the popcorn's popping.
So tell me about, like, in Macon, Georgia. This is what? I mean, you're what age are you?
I'm 75, 76.
75. Look how good
I lost track.
If I look as good as you do at 76.
I'm just not old enough yet. I'm not old as I'm going to be.
Yeah. And this guy's out working. He's out making a run right now. He's going to do something that's going to be phenomenal. We had a conversation about it recently, but let's go back 76 years ago. Okay, like you were growing up in Macon, Georgia. Your parents are middle class, lower middle class.
Well, a little bit below middle class.
Yeah. So what's your dad doing for a living?
Well, he was involved in the insurance business of all things at that time, but it was more the traditional, running a little manager of a little office in a little area, little region.
Yeah. So we're talking in the 40s. You were born in the 40s.
I was born in 42.
Okay. So it's what's going on in 1940? When you're growing up, what was going on?
I was the biggest thing happening.
I love the confidence, man. Okay, first takeaway. Have some confidence.
No, and I just always wanted to be somebody. I was a dreamer. I loved heroes, and if I saw something in the movies or on TV, I mean, I was one of those kind of guys that wanted to dream big. Always dreaming bigger, and one of the big influences on me is I came up out of Macon, Georgia, and that's sort of the home of rock and roll. That was Little Richard.
I didn't know that.
Little Richard was born and raised in Tootie. For one of the most seminal moments in my whole life, I came in from school one day. I was about, 13, 14 years old, and I heard on there was a black radio station down there, WIBB, and there was a King B was a disc jockey, and he said, we found him, and of course. Little Richard was Richard Penniman. He used to be a car hop down at one of the little drive-in restaurants down in Macon, and a lot of us would go by and see him because he was a singing car hop. Well, also we didn't see him anymore. Then old King B says, we found him. I was listening on the radio. He said, we found him. He's got a record contract, and here's his first record, and bam, and all of a sudden, Tutti Frutti. You remember the wop, bop-a-loo, bop, and my life was changed. So anyway, I kind of grew up loving rock and roll and all that kind of stuff, and we'd go to all these shows, and I wanted to be somebody.
What does that mean though? You wanted to be somebody,
No.
and then by the way, did your three brothers and sisters, did they want to be somebody?
One brother and two sisters.
Okay, so there was a total of 4 of them.
There were 4 of us.
Okay. So did your 3 siblings?
I was the oldest, and no, they were great people. I got great brothers and sisters, and everything. They've had good lives.
Yeah.
And everything. They weren't out trying to pursue big dreams.
They didn't have that aspiration thing.
I was more the rebel. I was a dreamer. My dad used to always tell me that he's always telling me, he said, man, you always talk about what you're going to do, what you're going to do. He said, we got to do things right now. I said, that's great, that's fine. He said, when you get grown, you won't talk like that. I said, well, Daddy, I don't ever want to get grown then. If I gotta sit there and accept the way life is. So I wanted to pursue things and do things. Didn't know what it was. And the older I got, I went to Georgia Tech for a couple of years. Was going to be an engineer and get me a job with a big corporation and get the benefits and that old dream that never was, but it certainly went away many years ago. And so here I was out trying to do that. And probably the best thing that ever happened to me is that after 2 years, my wife's pregnant with our first child, and I rationalized putting off education for 6 months, and I put it off for a year, and then I put it off 2 years. By that time, the second one's coming. Next thing you know, I never went back.
Yeah, you had to work.
Yeah, so if I'd ended up graduating from Georgia Tech, great school, and I'd have had a degree, and I'd probably got me a pretty good job, but I'd been one miserable dude.
You'd be on engineering players today rather than power players.
I would not be sitting down here with you, I promise you that.
Yeah. So tell me, the thing about, I'm interested in this concept of between the dreamer. I mean, I would love to know if you know why you were dreaming and the other siblings weren't. Why you were thinking about being somebody. Well,
they probably were dreaming.
Yeah.
But a dream is like a seed, like a little. It has to grow and be nurtured inside of you. And I dared to dream. I dared to publicly let my family know and other people know that I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to do more. I wanted to go places, do things. And the more you publicly declare your intentions, the more you talk about it, the more other people know it. Puts you kind of pressure on you. And you also talk yourself into it. Since we're all going to be brainwashed anyway, let's just brainwash ourselves.
I agree with that completely, man.
That's what I try to do.
I'm going to do the scrubbing here.
So I think that's what I did. I think I just did a good job of. It wasn't a lie. It's the truth. It just hadn't happened yet.
Yeah. So you were saying, hey, I'm going to be somebody even when you weren't.
That's right. That's right. You got to. And I don't want to fake. That'll fake it till you make it. There's a little bit of truth to that, but a lot of people get in trouble trying to do that.
Right.
I think you got to act as if. That's the better way. You got to act as if you're already there. It's like Thomas Watson. The guy that built IBM.
Yeah, sure.
And he had a motto in his deal, and as I learned about this at an early age, and I've tried to follow what he said. He said there were 3 things they did at IBM. This was back when they were selling the adding machines and typewriters.
And IBM was
there were no computers back then.
Yeah.
When he started IBM, he said there's 3 things we want to do. One, he said I had a template in my mind, a vision of what I wanted, what we want our company to look like when it's finished. And number 2, I also have a vision in our mind of how a company that looked like that acted. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing, he said we went out every day and acted that way every day. He said basically we didn't go out and do business. We built a business. Every day at IBM was building that image that they were looking at, and that's sort of what we've done in all our companies. When we built the big the Airways Primerica company at MidArt, there were 30 active people there in his group. He was just wanting to start this little agency and this buy term and invest the difference crusade. It was an idea whose time had come, but he didn't really have any real distribution.
Who is this?
This is Art Williams.
Okay.
This was back in the late.
And you're out of college. Well, where are you in your career path now?
I've been on the railroad now for almost 17 years.
Meaning what?
Riding on a freight train, on a caboose. Because
we skipped that. I want to go back to that.
Okay,
right?
well,
okay. So you dropped out of the engineering. You had 2 kids.
Well, by that time the second one was on the way, and of course that summer job I took on the railroad was supposed to be a summer job. 17 years later, I was still trapped.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and I had this third child, the fourth child. I was a full-fledged card-toting adult.
Yeah. So what were you doing on the railroad?
What
does the job look
I was
like?
in the transportation department, riding freight trains from Macon, Georgia to Columbus, Macon, Georgia to Albany.
Doing what? What
I was a conductor. I was a sort of the captain of the crew, so to speak, and had an engineer and brakeman, flagman. I was sort of the manager of that crew, and we were riding the caboose. First few years I rode the caboose, then I got smart and got on the engines, so the slack wouldn't hurt my back so bad. But anyway, I spent all that time on the railroad, and
17 years, amazing.
And of course you got to have things in your life that fuel you along the way. One of the things that you know, somebody asks me lots of times, what are the keys to success that somebody has to have? And I always tell them the first thing, I say, something has got to happen in your life where there's enough dissatisfaction. There's a hunger. There's a burning desire. If you can't get that desire level up high enough, I don't care if it's the right timing. You got the greatest product. You've learned everything you need to know. If that desire level's there, you'll never do it. You won't pay the price. Success is a mean son of a gun. You and I got the same boss. His name is Success.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's tough.
Yeah.
If we do what he says, we'll get the thing. You know, we're over here talking about comparing our jets. Gulf Streams. You can get those. That's one reason people say, Hubert, why?
This guy's owned. How many jets have you owned, by the way?
We've had 12.
Just so everybody knows, if you don't know who Hubert is, he is like been part of architect two multi-billion-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies that affected how many lives? Like how many people were involved in those two companies?
Well, if you add those two companies together, there was right at 2 million people were recruited through the system, and probably about 400,000 to 500,000 of them actually were licensed, new professionals. We had over 15 million clients, individual clients that had the benefits of our concepts and products and services. So it was a great platform today. Of course, both those companies, when they were sold, one was sold to Sandy Wild and was renamed Primerica Financial Services.
Yeah, tell everybody who Sandy was.
Sandy Wild, he's the guy that consolidated the insurance industry and the banking industry here
he
years
was
ago.
with Citibank, right?
Yeah, he formed what became the big Citi Group, the largest financial services company in the world. And so they bought that company, and then as I stayed there for a while. And then I went on and left because it was becoming institutionalized, which was a good thing, but I knew. You
were starting to feel like an engineer.
Well, yeah, I was getting a little trapped.
A railroad guy.
Yeah, I'd already got cut loose from the caboose once. I didn't want to have to do it again. So I went out, got ahead of the curve, formed World Marketing Alliance with a lot of great guys. You know, a lot of them that were part of our lineage there. And after 10 years, sold that to Aegon, renamed it World Financial Group, and today it's a couple of $1 billion market cap.
Part of Transamerica now.
It was a part of Aegon, the big Aegon world.
Okay.
They not only bought us, but they bought Transamerica all about the same time, and it's a part of the big Aegon world, one of the large institutions out there. And so we built those companies, and of course I had a long non-compete for many years, and it was up about 3.5, 4 years ago. So I've just launched into the third part of the trilogy. This is like the Lord of the Rings. This is the big one.
And I want to get into that part of the story, but what I want to figure out, how does a guy go from railroads, 17 years, not 17 months, 17 years of running on a track? How do you get off the track? Because I know I got a lot of people out there like car salesmen, plumbers, roofers.
Yeah.
They're stuck making 80 grand. Maybe you're stuck at 150, or maybe you're stuck at 250 and you can't, like.
I was stuck at 30,000.
Yeah, but it's all relative,
back then.
Right. You're stuck on a railroad. Yeah. You're not even thinking about you're going to own. How many aircraft did you end up going through?
12.
12. I mean, it takes money to buy aircraft. It's not bragging rights. It takes money.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I have to stay in business, because the price of our toys keeps getting higher.
So how did you get off? How do you make the transition? How do you got kids?
That's probably the most important thing I can say here today. Is that one thing, is that first of all you got to keep your trying motor going. Mm-hmm. One of the things I learned back from Rich DeVos and Jay Van Andel, the guys that built the Amway business, they had a great speech he gave called "Try or Cry." So I kept my trying going. Mm-hmm. This magic of trying. You know, somewhere along the line, the trying's got to turn into doing. But you've got to keep your knees turning. You got to keep at it. And I was just that way. I just would not surrender. I mean, there was a couple of times in my life life almost had me, and I had my hands up to surrender, and I'd snatch them back down.
What am I thinking about? Huh?
I can't do that. And so I would stay at it and try to do these things. And a defining moment with me. See, I found out a long time ago that what you're looking for is looking for you, and you just got to be aware of that. And so here I was on the railroad, just desperately wanting to get away, trying to become an entrepreneur. Wanting to.
Are you reading books, or are you going to events?
I'd got a copy of Think and Grow Rich, and one of the things that I had gotten into the Amway business, which is a fun way to make no money, but it was a good lesson. And for 7 or 8 years.
But some people have made money with Amway.
Oh, well, yeah.
A lot of money.
A handful of them, the big guys. Big guys. But I'm not knocking the company. I wouldn't give anything for my experience. If I hadn't have been there, I probably wouldn't have developed the mindset and the systems mindset that I have today. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, this is the people out there doing that. This is this industry. If you want to be in the business, be in the money business. That's where you need to be. So we literally brought this recruiting and building system into the insurance industry, which had never had anything like that in it before. But getting back to the moment,
the transition. How do you?
There was this window of time. There were several things that were happening that I didn't have anything to do with. I just happened to be able to go through the window. We don't create windows. We just got to recognize them and have the courage to go through them and be prepared to go through them. So that's what we were doing. But the big thing that I was ready. Art Williams had a former high school football coach had been over at Waddell and Reed. He had left coaching. It was at Waddell and Reed trying to do his little bi-term and invest the difference. And he was frustrated. Said he felt like he was Moby Dick in a goldfish bowl. He had to get away. He had to find something bigger and better. So he went to start his little agency there out of Atlanta. And it was just 2 or 3 months into the game, just about 30 or so people were around him. And a little guy that I knew through our church association, his father wanted to know if his son could come over and see me. He didn't even tell me what it was. He introduces me accidentally to the story of what A.O. Williams was trying to do. And I was so ready that I jumped at it.
You were still on the railroad?
I'm on the railroad.
So up to this point, you've done a little Amway. So you understood the network marketing. You understood the distribution concept.
Well, I understood a little bit about recruiting and building, and I'd been to some.
And it was better than railroad.
Oh yeah, it was.
So you were looking for an out.
It gave me a chance to know that I like that. I like to be around people. I like to be around dreamers, things like that. It just felt like I was in an association of dreamers. Now we weren't making any money, but boy, we were dreaming good. So here we were. I had all that going. Just for those guys out there that think they're too busy, I hear too many people say I'm busy, but no, you're busy being busy. I'll tell you what busy was. I mean, I was about a 105-hour-a-week guy. I was working 60 to 70 hours a week on the railroad, gone 2 or 3 days at a time, off the end of the road, go to another town. You didn't just go 8 to 5 and come home. You went on trips. And I was doing that. Then I spent about 20, 25 hours a week trying to be an entrepreneur to hopefully build my business up. I was a lay minister in our church, the Mormon church there, and I was a young bishop. I'm a father of 4 kids. Got all this going for me, and then all of a sudden this opportunity pops up. And I easily could have said, man, 105 hours. I don't really sleep every 3 days now. Maybe I hadn't got time. But I had time because I wanted to get out of that railroad. My hunger level was so much, and so many things had happened on the railroad. That's a great training ground to get your desire up if you want to go work on the railroad.
But some guys stayed there. They could still be there.
But I'd already had that dreaming in me. See, my first 3 or 4 years on the railroad, I kind of got lost in. That was fun and games, riding trains, going to the other end of the road, goofing off with the guys at the other end of the road, getting in trouble I shouldn't have got into. Right. And then I realized, hey, I'm an adult. I got a family. What am I doing? It was like I had an epiphany. I can remember the day it happened to. It was like I awakened one day on the caboose.
What am I doing?
And I said, who put me here?
Right.
Hey, what's happened?
Dude, why did that happen to you though? And so many people, I think a lot of people have this like, well, I'm stuck. I hear it all the time. So I'm like, I'm stuck. I want off. I want out. But you did it. Well, what's the difference?
I just kept trying. I was trying everything. I was looking at everything. I just made up my mind. Anything that if I couldn't go, I didn't have a bunch of capital to go put in a business. I didn't have the experience to go get into a business. So I felt I was blocked out there.
You didn't have the money. You didn't have the connections.
But when one of my railroad buddies comes over and says for $15, we can get in here and give this thing a try. That's $15. I know how to get $15. I went and borrowed it from my mother. So I had $15 to get started.
That's amazing.
And didn't take it was just and then I started realizing the potential of it. We were in the early pioneer stages of what it was. So I kept
the early pioneer stages of what? So people, because I think there's some people out there that don't know, right? So
we were in the early stages of what became the network marketing industry, what became the multi-level market, whatever it was. That
didn't exist then.
Well, it was new.
Yeah.
For example, when I saw Amway, there was only about 20,000 people in Amway. Well, now that thing's had 80 or 90 million people over the last about 40 years. So anyway, it was.
So some people are gonna, when they hear that, they're gonna say, "Well, dude, if I would have been like in it when it was new, I would have been there." But when it was that new, that caused a lot of problems too, right?
Oh man, it was such a radical, disruptive type of marketing, type of a stature. And by the way, just to get it clear, we're in Hegemon Group International, our company today, the big Primerica, A.L. Williams Primerica company that we had, that we built, the WMA, WFG company, those are not network marketing companies. We just brought a lot of those principles into a highly regulated industry and it built a super agencies.
Yeah, which was really, it's just a way to distribute your product or service, right?
Yeah, we were just super general agencies on steroids. That's what we were. And but anyway, getting back, I was just so prepared. And
you borrowed the $15 from your mom.
Yeah,
did you have to sell her on that idea, or she just gave it to you easily?
I was her oldest, so she loved me. So anyway, she gave me $15. So I got in to do that. But after struggling 7 or 8 years.
How old are you at this point?
At that point was probably 26.
Okay.
26 years old when that was one of that epiphany occurred after 3 or 4 years on the railroad. And from that point forward, for the next 13 years on the railroad, I was trying to get out. I couldn't get out. I tried every way you could to get out. I couldn't get out. But I kept my trying motor going. That's the main thing I'm trying to point out here is that it wasn't just an overnight thing. It was an overnight thing for me to have that epiphany, which I'd had the epiphany as a little boy. I wanted to be somebody, and I lost it for 3 or 4 years on the railroad. I was satisfied. I was settling for something. See, you know what? I remember that when the doctor held me up and slapped me.
Do you remember this?
No.
I
remember how doctors do. I remember how doctors do. But when that doctor held me up by my feet and he slapped me on the butt like doctors used to do, I don't think they do it anymore.
Right.
But they used to. He didn't stamp railroad man on my butt. I could be anything I wanted to be.
Right.
And when I remembered that, it's when I got it on, and that was the key. And so I stayed at it, kept going, and see, frustration is fertilizer. There's a fine line between frustration and anxiety.
I love that,
Grant. Frustration and most of the people out there watching this, most of the people out there that you contacted, reach through all of your mediums out there, they're filled with anxiety. Anxiety will kill you. Anxiety means that I don't know what to do. Right. I don't know any solutions. I'm hopeless. That's anxiety. Now, frustration means I know there's a solution. I know I can do it. I just hadn't done it yet. I'm going to find it. That's good. That's healthy.
Yeah, so it sounds like the discouragement, like the disappointment and the frustration, you've said this a couple of times, actually you use that as fuel to get you satisfied.
It did. I mean, to me, it was tempering me. It was sort of like in a crucible. It was through the tempering me. To the harder the blow, the stronger the steel. I mean, I'd read books of the day, the different kind of motivational books. You didn't have your books out long about that time, so I didn't get to read your books at that way back in the day.
Well, I just started writing about 7 years
I know, but way back in the day, you were in a different place then. But the bottom line that I'm pointing out here, guys, is that your frustration. Use it. Turn it. What's the old saying about a kite? It'll only rise against the wind, and that's the way you got to be. And
so use the frustration, keep trying. Like I've heard you mention the trying thing over and over. Right?
A great yachtsman, a great seller. People who win the America's Cup, they all got the same wind. It's just one knows how to set the sails and capture the wind the right way. and it's a great force. And that's what you've got to do in life. And because hey, promise you, hey, it's a jungle out there. I look at the people today. You know, the poor people feel hopeless today. The middle class feels like they're the poor, and the wealthy feels like they don't feel wealthy anymore.
Yeah. So talk about that a second, because you've been around a long time, and you and I have a lot in common. Okay, I borrowed three grand from my mom when I was 26 years old, single mother, to try to get out. I was trying to get out of this mediocrity.
Well,
I shared something.
I didn't think to ask mine for $2,600.
No, the program cost $3 grand. It wasn't 15, right? So, and I just wanted out. I'm like, I'll do anything. And like you, I had borrowed and wasted money on a whole bunch of other things. So, tell me about over this path. You've done some unbelievable things. Billions of dollars, millions of people you've influenced the lives of. What are some things that you've done that you're like, you look back and say, hey, I wouldn't do those things again? And then I want to talk about what you're about to step into.
Well, I've done lots of things in my life, the mistakes made and lessons learned all back then. But I would not change anything. The minute you start looking back, saying you'd change everything, if that was your mentality, you would have changed it way back and never got to where you wanted to be. So I don't look back with any regrets.
What do you look? I understand, but what do you look?
I can give some advice, obviously.
Okay.
You know, I mean, obviously.
Because clearly there's, like you open this up, there's clearly something wrong in this country. Like, people make 19 grand a year, they know they're broke. People make $58,000 a year, they know they're broke. Like, there's this big spread that wasn't happening when you and I grew up. People that made 50, 60 grand a year were rich when we were growing up.
That's right.
Okay? I know guys that are making 200 grand a year don't have any money left over.
That's right.
This kid that came up here this morning, he's driving an Aston Martin, buying $500 Gucci shirts. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? This is stupid what you're doing. Okay? Quit wasting the money like that. Okay, Johnny? And so something's changing in America where the middle class is feeling this angst.
Absolutely. What I see right now is that there is a big change out there in middle America. I see there's the people want a lot of things, but the two things that I see that's different now all of a sudden, and you've seen the appetite for it, is that people right now they're wanting to learn how money works. They want to know how to win the money game. They want some education. They'll go to seminars. They'll buy books and courses, and they'll go online in this web-based age we live in, and Google themselves into knowledge. But they want to know how money works. They're tired of sitting back and waiting on somebody else to take care of them. They have awakened to that. And then the second thing that I see that they want to do more than ever before is that they want to become. How can I go into business? How can I become an entrepreneur? How does that work? And of course,
what's driving that right now?
We live in first of all, the internet's really driving because it's so much easier. I would say 70-80% of the new businesses that have started the last few years are internet-based.
E-commerce.
And they've started right from somebody's home or something. So entrepreneurship is thriving because people are able to start businesses web-based. So we're in an era right now where it's so fertile for opportunity. So if anybody out there is trying to build a business, now's the time to get in it. If you're trying to grow your business, now's the time to grow. I mean, see, I love being in an inflation-proof, recession-proof business. And that's what a recruiting-based business like our model that we built, A.L. Williams and WMA and the WFG, all this, and the company we're building today, Hegemon, the more inflation you have, the more recession you have, the more pressure you have out there economically and worldwide. And today it's a global.
It's not whether it's in the U.S. or
if somebody sneezes in Japan, we catch a cold in the United States. You know, so it's one of those types of deals now. But people desperately want to be in business, and what you've got to know is that it's easier to do that. It's related, but when you're in a recession-proof, inflation-proof type business like ours, more and more people are looking for opportunity. Well, we give them an interest way for new entrepreneurs to get into business. It's very easy to get in our business. We've lowered the barriers on getting into this type of business. The largest industry in the world, financial services, we've simplified it where people can come in. And one other point. And then the clients, the clients wanting our products and concepts and services, they want more value for their dollar because of inflation and recession. So either way, it grows our.
So you were saying that was what you opened with is that, hey, people want to know how to play the money game.
That's right.
So you're serving that client that's like, wait a minute, there's something I don't know about money. There's something about college maybe, or the IRA or the KEO. There's something about the money game you were saying that all people want to know, both the people you're serving with a product or service and the people that you're providing an opportunity for.
Well, that's right. And one of the things that really attracted me to Art Williams, and when A.L. Williams was first starting with his crusade of buy term insurance and invest the difference, when I saw the power of that concept, because one, I had 3 little whole life policies. I mean, I was paying about $100 a month for about $30,000, $40,000 worth of coverage, and he ends up showing me. This little part-timer shows me that I can get $250,000 for half the money and invest the difference. Well, that was revolutionary to me. And also the fact that he couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time, and he had shown me a concept. I couldn't believe it. I said, if he could do it, I can do it. And I found out he was making some money out of it. That really got me. But the concept was so simple. And over the years, I've found that what we always do, we just do a little. We can do a complex financial plan for somebody, but we do a little simple, at a minimum, a little financial needs analysis for people to gather their data, see what their challenges are, and we've got solutions for them. And across our whole hegemon business, one of the things that really makes us unique in this new era we're in is that we've got a whole broad array. We're a one-stop shop. We've got a solution for almost every financial
situation. Tell me about Hegemon.
Hegemon is, by the way, the name hegemon comes from the Greek word meaning imperial dominance, to dominate.
I love dominance. I love domination much better than competition.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You and I have so much in common.
I'm not interested in competing. You know,
Why aren't you interested in competing?
Well, because it's no fun. There's nobody to compete with me. But dominating's good. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
there is people. I don't mean to come across.
No. But don't you think the competition thing is really a little bit disabilitating? Because if your competitors aren't recreating, coming up with new ideas, if they get crippled, then you're crippled. Just plain a little
absolutely.
better.
Even inside, when I was growing up in the A.O. Williams business, and saw our great leaders in WMA growing up, I used to warn them against it. I said, just because you're on the leaders bulletin beating the heck out of everybody else right now and you got a comfortable margin, if you get comfortable, you're going to lose because those guys probably are not giving it their all. You're beating people I learned a long time ago, the only real person that you've got to beat, just the new you's got to beat the old you.
Right.
You know, the new you has got to go and beat the old you, that old CBE, the career best effort. You got to go find what that is and always be striving for that. And I learned that principle way back, and that drove me. So my competition basically, I was competing with this image of what I wanted to become and how great I wanted to be in my business, and always striving to be there. I've never gotten there completely, because by the time I think I'm there, I've already got a new vision.
You see a new
vision.
So that goes back to that influence that Tom Watson had on you at IBM, right?
Yeah.
And your dad saying, "Hey, you can dream all this, but you got to do something."
Yeah. He kept telling me of course I
quit borrowing money from my mama.
That's right. But I just know that in our business today we've got the solutions. I'm a firm believer, and you've probably seen this or understand this more than anybody, is that if the problem is big enough, and the solution is big enough, then you've got the ingredients to have one of the great success stories of all time. And we happen to be at the right place when the insurance industry, the largest industry in the world, totally was in a disarray, was not serving middle America. And we had demographic inevitability going for us. That was another one of those conditions when Art was starting. 76 million baby boomers had come of age now. They were married, started having children. They were ages 20 to 34. And so the whole decade of the 80s, A.O. Williams dominated because we caught the wave of demographic inevitability. And we caught an industry that was ill prepared, and we went and beat them.
Yeah, so how do you play that out today? 76
well,
million baby boomers starting
what I did, the second company, when Art sold the other one, and we kind of cashed that out and moved, and I built World Marketing Alliance right on top of that for the next 10 years, and we tied in with Aegon, the big Dutch carrier, and built a great relationship with them. Well, now the baby boomers are ages 30 to 40, 44, 45. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden now, they're aging, and they're at their peak earnings years. The kids are growing up, going to college, and they're starting to wake up and realize, hey, I got to go get something for retirement, man. So new products were developed. Buy term and invest. The difference now was the industries merged together. We had variable universal life, a whole new crusade. Buy term and invest the difference, but now we had it in a higher life form called variable universal life. And now the crusade was tax advantages of life insurance, investment advantages of mutual funds. And we went out and filled the solutions, the solutions needed for that group of baby boomers. And now the baby boomers are out there, 55 to 70 or so, and
our age.
Every 10
they're dying off.
Every 10 seconds, one of them is turning 70. Mm-hmm. Every 10 seconds. Snap your fingers. Oh, well, that's 3 more, 4 more, 5 more. It's just that fast.
Meaning what? What does that mean to you? That they're turning 70?
A whole new set of challenges. Mm-hmm. See, what
does it mean to hegemon? What does it mean to the person watching? Like, how do I make money doing that?
Well, in our business, in our business, back when we built AONs, we basically fished in one ocean. It was the baby boomers. Then at WMA, when we built the second company, we fished in that one ocean. Uh-huh. The baby boomers, they just were now in a different age bracket. Today, we've got like 4 monster oceans.
Millennials.
We got the seniors out there, about 40 million seniors out there, 70 to 85 or 90. Uh-huh. Then you got the baby boomers coming ashore, the 76 million.
Right.
Then you got the Generation Xers out there, and then you got the millennials right behind that. And we don't even talk about the Generation Z coming.
Yeah.
But just in the millennials and the
boomers.
Not the boomers, but just the Generation Xers and the millennials together is about 150 million. Uh-huh. So all of a sudden, the demographic inevitability we faced back in the day, we've got 4 different demographic groups of inevitability. So we can recruit
sell to.
I love being here in your operations. Seeing everybody in there is 20, 30 years younger than you.
Yeah.
That's how you build your business today.
I still outwork them all.
I know you do, and that's what I'm looking for. I got people on my team. I'm getting the 35 and 40-year-old people working around me, and even some of the newer ones out there, mm-hmm. the 25 and 30s. If get them in. So the bottom line is that demographic inevitability. And then when you put system inevitability, one of the things is, if I could pick this up right here without dropping it.
You got to start working out.
This manual right here, this leadership format system. When you have
this is
HGI. That's just one of the iterations of the book. We brought that system into A.L. Williams. We built it with WMA, and this is just.
So all these dudes that I have, all my buddies that I have over here, that I interview. You know all those dudes. You're their guy. Did you make those guys? I just want to get it official. PBD and the AEM and all those dudes that I have over here. Did you make them?
No, I didn't make them. No.
Did you make them who they are?
They were just like me. They were ready when the time came, and I helped set the conditions.
Yeah.
And help create a success window to take advantage of a bigger window that they happen to be ready for when they plugged into our system. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole nature of our business. We create this world of opportunity that you come in here and you can plug and play. That's what it's all about. We try to simplify so we can multiply together. We don't.
I like that. Simplify to multiply.
So I got a couple of photos that I think you guys would love to see. Saving the best for last. So maybe you guys can talk about this right here.
Wait a minute. Why are you trying to run this interview, man? Yeah, I got it. Let me see the image. Ali. Yeah. What about Ali? Did you like him?
Taught him everything he knows.
Yeah.
No.
That guy was saying he was greatness.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My name is Hubert Humphrey.
Failure or success?
For what?
Which one's taught you more? Failure or success? Which one you learned more from?
Failure was tempering me. Failure is a success. If you're having some failures, that means that you're on a successful path. So I take it as.
But if you look back and you said, "Hey, man, I want to grab some lessons from failure," or do you learn more? Do you get more from succeeding?
You probably remember more from the failures because
Yeah, I agree with that.
they penetrate deeper.
Right.
You feel them, you know, and you've had them. I mean, you're going to have failures.
Yeah.
I was having failures when I was on the railroad. I had failures when I was just starting in A.L. Williams. I had failures when we were starting WMA and all this company. We built another big mortgage operation.
Mm-hmm.
The world blew up in 2009 and 10, and we had one of the largest mortgage operations in the country.
Wow.
Well, that was I didn't fail. The world, the systemic meltdown failed, but we had to react to it. I could either suck my thumb or we just put a little salve on the wounds and got ready for the next onslaught.
Money or legacy?
Legacy is driven. Money was probably the major thing early on because needed some and I needed it to get away. Got a big family, get away from the railroad. You're driven by money, and then I was driven by things for a while. But after a while, I realized it was more legacy, being the best.
How many people can you help?
That's all.
So Hegemon, people can reach Hegemon at where? Is it HGICrusade.com?
Got it right there. HGICrusade.com. Man,
got
it right
so you guys, if you're interested in what this guy's a legend. Like look what he's created. Okay, he's going for a trilogy play. He's going for his third big master play, and I wouldn't count him out. Okay, I'd count on him.
No.
And,
Don't count us out. No.
Yeah, count this guy. This guy's a winner. So this is what I got out of this today. I don't know what you got out. I'll give somebody their notes. Somebody that maybe post in comments your best notes. I'll send you my note page. I'll sign it. I'll have Double H sign it for me. You heard of Eminem? This is the Double H. I'm going to command him as the Double H. Dreamer and rebel. Are you still a rebel today?
Oh, yeah.
Still, 76.
Just ask my wife.
Great having you.
Okay. Good to be here, buddy.
Okay. Hey, get yourself in a position to sit in that chair. I want to interview you for Power Players, and thanks for watching.
CHGI